Captain America, a worldwide icon of fiction, representative of American exceptionalism, a character by design meant to remind every citizen of the United States that, hey, America's pretty awesome, guys, bald eagles and shit. I love him. He's probably my favorite Avenger and one of my all-time favorite superheroes to boot. So to celebrate our Independence Day, we're going to take a look at all of the Captain America video games. Now, clearly we don't have enough time to cover every single solitary appearance that the red, white, and blue badass has made in video games because there's a ton of them. From Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, several Spider-Man games, as well as the upcoming Avengers game. So we're just gonna stick with video games with Captain America in the title and as the focus of the games. So to begin our adventure into Captain America games, we gotta go back. We gotta go way back to a game even before my time. 1987's Captain America in the Doom Tube of Dr. Megaloman. And I'm gonna have to be real with you right now, okay? I actually couldn't get footage recorded for this game because it's so old and difficult to get working, but I'm gonna be giving credit to the people whose footage I am using instead. PC gaming and emulation might be cool, but good luck getting a 33-year-old game to work without faults on a 2020 computer. I personally couldn't figure it out too well, and when I did, I couldn't get a joystick properly configured. But thankfully, old games like this are pretty straightforward. The game puts Captain America in an isometric perspective, and you just have to use this elevator to go through the various levels of the game, quickly dispatch enemies with your trusty shield, and solve some puzzles. You also have a time limit. You have exactly 1 hour real time to beat it, or else it's game over. Now, I'm personally not a fan of time elements. It gives me mad anxiety, and I suppose that just adds the difficulty of it, so if that's your bag, then you do you. The game controls, it's alright, I guess, and the shield is fun to throw for a minute, but the novelty does wear off pretty quickly. Now, good or bad, that depends upon you. I personally don't care too much for it. I would highly recommend playing the Atari ST version, if only for the presentation, though. It's bright, vibrant, and Cap has a really detailed sprite, which is very impressive for 1987. But never play the ZX Spectrum version of it, because... don't play the ZX Spectrum version. Just don't. Also, can I comment on the title screen for a second? Cap, you okay? You're invading my personal space there, dude!
Too close, a little too close.
Hey, quick question to the devs of this game, if you're still out there and you stumbled across this video. I have a question. Out of all of the Captain America and Marvel villains alike, why did you go with Dr. Megaloman? I mean, has anybody ever heard of this guy? Dr. Megaloman? Well, spoiler, if you said that you have, you're a liar because he doesn't exist. He was made up for this game. I tried finding more about the guy so I can get an idea of the game's plot, but the only thing I found was a tokusatsu character named Megaloman, and I doubt he felt the need to create something called Doom Tubes and mess with Captain America. Also, I don't think this guy has a PhD. He doesn't strike me as the 8 years in college type. Oh, okay, a brief detour in Japan. So let's bring it on back home to the land of the free and the home of the brave for a second. To a game I actually did manage to get recording footage for. This would be Spider-Man and Captain America in Doctor Doom's Revenge. Okay, so it's a Spider-Man game as well, but hey, Captain America also gets top billing because he's just as big of a star, dang it. I mean, look at the star. Look at right there. It's huge! Hey, things are looking pretty good so far, and with a 2-year development time between the first game and this game, I'm sure that there's gonna be some drastic improvements. Plus, we even have an iconic villain with Dr. Doom! This is gonna be great, right? Right? This is a true testament of game design. You will never again witness masterful combat. Forever and ever, this game shall be remembered as the greatest superhero game of all time. I mean, are you seeing what I'm seeing here? Like, if I showed you this game, like if I brought you over to my house for some reason or so, and I showed you a game and said, hey, this game is so cool, you should totally play it. It's got Captain America, it's got Spider-Man. Like, would you play it if you saw this? No! No, you wouldn't! Because it's bad! You know what's funny is that this game is frequently listed as a fighting game too, and kinda? I mean, all the fights are one-on-one. You're on a static 2D plane, you move back and forward, but that's just bare bones fighting game. I'm stunned. I'm I'm still flabbergasted by just how bad this game is. This just might be the worst game I've ever reviewed on my show. It's stiff, doesn't control well, its sound design is awful, and there's just barely anything redeemable for it. Before you say, oh no, you gotta go back to the 1980s, you gotta drop your standards, you're too modern with this stuff. Okay, look, that's not a very fair comparison, because we still have to compare it by something, by some standard. And if we're gonna have to do that, let's go back a little bit. Let's compare it to, say, Street Fighter 1, which came out 1987 as well. Okay, that's a little unfair, because Street Fighter 1 was an arcade game first. So how about we compare it to a DOS game? How about the lesser-known would-have-been sequel to Street Fighter 1 called Human Killing Machine? Okay, that looks pretty bad too. But still, that looks miles better than this game. And Street Fighter 1 and Human Killing Machine aren't good by any stretch of the word. Yeah, fight me on it. But it's still miles better than this. Out of all the characters Marvel owes an apology to, it's Doctor Doom. He's one of their best villains ever, and a guy who should be at the top tier of everyone's villain list just has the worst luck imaginable when it comes to anything outside of comics. And I don't know what's worse, his appearance in this game or Fantastic. I mean, if I had to squeeze one positive out of the game, because I'm an optimist that way, the song used for the title screen is pretty jammin'. I mean, I guess the budget had to go somewhere, just didn't know it all went to the composer for one song. Moving right along, we have a game that I played a lot of back in the day. Captain America and the Avengers. Heck yes. I remember the arcade version being so cool, so fun, so fluid, and I would head over to this local burger joint to play this bad boy whenever I got the chance to, because that was the only arcade cabinet in my area. And I couldn't get footage for that game either, because I couldn't get it to work on my computer. But hey, that's okay. I did manage to get a working version of the game for the Super Nintendo, and I did get footage for that. And I'm sure it's just as good as the arcade version, right? Right? Oh! The Rockets Wrangler. Well, okay, I'm being a little overly dramatic. It's not that bad. It's just not good. Well, I mean, yeah, there are worse games on the Super Nintendo, and sure, it's leagues above its predecessors. Not much of an accomplishment, though. But it's just not a good beat-em-up, especially for the time. This was fun for a minute or two, and then I realized I wasn't really using the standard punch attack a whole lot because it didn't do anything. I pretty much always got hit whenever I tried to punch an enemy, and there's no satisfying stun added to them so you can do a cool combo for damage, which is a staple of beat-em-ups, and you can't do that here. And don't tell me that it was a design choice. I firmly believe that they ripped this out of the Super Nintendo version because look at the footage of the arcade. There it is. You can clearly see some cool cat combos. I mean, maybe I just suck, but I couldn't do any of those, if I'm being completely honest. I just stopped using the basic punch altogether, just ran around using Cap's shield and everything, and just jump attacking. That seemed pretty effective. Sometimes. This game is annoying. Really annoying. And very rarely do I feel irritated by a game's elements. But the fact that punches are useless, Cap yells, "No!" all the freaking time, just made me want to play Streets of Rage, Final Fight, Golden Axe, Sonic Blastman, TMNT, Spider-Man Maximum Carnage, X-Men, or any other freaking beat-em-up than this! I wanted to give this game another chance, so I decided to play around with the other characters. Sorry, Cap. Please forgive me. Now, it's not much, but there's a little variety in how they play, but I really have to question the lineup. Iron Man? Okay, I get him. I mean, he wasn't as mega popular as he is today, but he's definitely an A-lister. Hawkeye? kinda, sort of, maybe I get it, because he is a street-level hero, but he's just a guy with a souped-up bow. He's kinda ill-fitting versus Super Soldier, Captain Nazi Puncher, and Man in Super Robot Suit. Vision? Okay, this one doesn't make sense. I never knew who the heck this guy was back in the day. Though sure, people know him now as that dude who gets humbled every time he showed up in Infinity War, but I never knew who he was. I was a dumb kid. I thought he was like Silver Surfer with a weird sprite. At least I knew who that guy was. Weirdly enough, though, Vision and Iron Man are the two best characters. I mean, at least in the Super Nintendo version, because you can do this broken move by leaping into the air and spamming the attack button to just rain death onto all enemies. Yeah, this move works great. I'm just mowing through everyone and... well, it works most of the time. But even with all that, this game still sucks. Like, it's not coded very well, the music isn't all that good, the graphics are okay, I guess, especially for a port, but it's just not a good beat-em-up. It's easily outclassed by its other contemporaries. There's really no reason to play Captain America and the Avengers on the Super Nintendo. It's not fun to play. And that's depressing. Like, this isn't just any old superhero. This isn't, I don't know, Billy Joe and the fettuccine, I don't know. Make up a superhero in your head and just imagine them having a cheap video game in the 80s and 90s, okay? This is not them. This is Captain freaking America, okay? One of the greatest superheroes that has ever come into fiction. And he doesn't have one, not one, good game starring him. How can we celebrate Independence Day when the premier American hero doesn't have any good starring role, top billing video games? Like, this is a guy who was so culturally relevant that his creators, over the legendary cover of him punching Hitler in the face, received death threats. And they got protection from the city for drawing it. He was so popular that he transcended the fall of Nazism after World War II that he stuck around to this day. He fought commies during the Cold War, and he's repeatedly placed in modern times with the sole element of, my job is protect America, and he gives some of the best speeches in comics too. How did they repeatedly get this guy wrong in video games? I was just a kid. A million years ago, it seems sometimes. Maybe 12? I was reading Mark Twain, and he wrote something that struck me right down to my core, something so powerful, so true, that it changed my life. I memorized it so I could repeat it to myself over and over across the years. He wrote, "In a republic, who is the country? Is it the government, which is for the moment in the saddle? Why, the government is merely a temporary servant. It cannot be its prerogative to determine what is right and what is wrong, and decide who is a patriot and who isn't. Its function is to obey orders, not originate them. Who, then, is the country? Is it the newspaper? Is it the pulpit? Why, these are the mere parts of the country, not the whole of it. They have not command. They have only their little share in command. In a monarchy, the king and his family are the country. In a republic, it is the common voice of the people, each of you, for himself, by himself, and on his own responsibility. It is a solemn and weighty responsibility, and not lightly to be flung aside at the bullying of the pulpit, press, government, or empty catchphrases of politicians. Each must for himself decide what is right and what is wrong, and which course is patriotic and which isn't. You cannot shirk this and be a man. To decide it is against your convictions is to be an unqualified and inexcusable traitor, both to yourself and to your country. Let men label you as they may. If you alone of all the nation shall decide one way, and that way be the right way according to your convictions of the right, you have your duty by yourself, and by your count, hold your head up. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Doesn't matter what the press says. Doesn't matter what the politicians and the mob say. Doesn't matter if the whole country decides that something wrong is something right. This nation was founded on one principle above all else: the requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter the odds or the consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move." Oh, sorry, I was just, reminding myself what a great character Captain America is. What? No. Why would I ever want to go all artsy? You'd have to be really stupid to go all artsy in a comedy video. Okay, look, I'm just a little bummed out that there aren't any good Captain America games, okay? Like, he deserves at least one good solo outing. Okay, one more. Just for Cap. Alright, so this is Captain America Super Soldier. Instead of releasing a new Captain America game every other year, that just didn't seem like the best strategy anymore, so they waited a good long while to give him another solo one. And it was only because of the really good Captain America movie in the MCU, too. And this came after Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, and the Thor games, too. Such critical masterpieces of... oh god. Great, so 20 years removed, and the other games aren't exactly critical darlings as well. So we're in good hands. But alright. Let's do this. Wow, I can't believe it, people! There is a good, nay, great Captain America game, and it came totally out of nowhere, too, because I sincerely doubt anyone had any faith in MCU movies, too. Combat is fast, fluid, strategic, exploring is fun, it moves at a brisk pace, boss fights are challenging without being too difficult, the story is totally original, too. It takes place in mid-World War II, where Hydra is creating new technology and super soldiers that take over the world once World War II ends and all sides are licking their wounds. They even have a character named Iron Cross, and I am totally convinced this is a freaking Warhammer character because he looks awesome.
You'd best hurry, Captain! The transfer is complete!
The game isn't perfect. At times, some of the platforming is a little odd, and it's a bit on the short side. It is kind of sort of a B-list Batman Arkham Asylum, but with Captain America in a Hydra castle. But hey, if you liked Batman Arkham Asylum, I'd say give this game a shot because you'd probably dig it too. Oh, and the funnest thing about this game is the shield. Cap's iconic shield is such a multi-tool in this. You can throw it, block with it, and attack with it. And you can target multiple enemies with it. You can even reflect bullets back at people by timing your blocks correctly as well. And it's just, oh, it's so fun. I love it. You need to play it to find out how fun it is. Also, there's a lot of collectibles. And I mean a lot. In my 2 playthroughs, I've never gotten them all. Why do Nazis who burned books have so much freaking paperwork? Also, man, do they love Fabergé eggs. Why do they leave so many of these things just casually lying around a super Nazi compound with its own prison, armory, tanks, and a gigantic ancient sleeping war mech? Hey, wait, roll that back. What was that last one? Now that is cool! I still don't really know or understand the lore of this thing, but it looks incredible! The Sleeper is a totally badass way to end a Captain America game. Now, if only the boss fight wasn't a letdown. Yeah, it's one of the game's very few faults. The final battle with the sleeper is easy, and at first it's really cool, but he doesn't really do anything to stop you. He just kind of stands there to look tough.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
I mean, you spend the majority of the boss fight facing off with Dr. Zemos again, and the grunts you've been fighting throughout the entirety of the game, so that's a bit disappointing. Now, to be fair, Cap does get the killing blow against this mechanical monstrosity, but it just feels like they couldn't figure out a proper way to include this giant robot into the gameplay and have it make sense. So it's cool to look at, but the fight is otherwise a bit meh. Well, everyone, it took some doing, but we finally got a great Captain America game. Sure, it's not perfect, but since when does a steak have to be filet mignon to be good? A New York strip is still great if you cook it right, and this game is a delicious, delicious steak. But if you ask me, this game right here is the true, definitive must-play Captain America game. Highly recommended. Now, don't forget to leave a steak and some mashed potatoes out for Captain America tonight, and just for today, consider me to be the red, white, and blue Magus. You see, you thought I was going to go an entire episode without making a pun? Who do you think you're dealing with here, okay? I don't know. This isn't just any old YouTuber, okay? This is Blue Magus, okay? I live for the puns, okay? And today is also Independence Day, motherfucker! Hey everybody, I would like to direct you to the very top of the screen right now to give some support to my patrons who make videos like this possible. And if you're just now stumbling upon this video and you haven't heard them before, go ahead and hit like and subscribe at the bottom if you haven't already. I'm going to be doing more dumb videos like this in the future. Thank you for tuning in and doing that. Let me know what you thought at the very bottom, and if you wouldn't mind following me on all the social medias and the Patreon too. If you want to go that extra mile, that'd be great too.